Hey, it's Maya. I want you to imagine something. You spend your entire life sacrificing for your child. You work 3 jobs. You go without so they can have everything. You protect them, raise them, love them. And then one day, that child, now grown, looks you in the eye and asks you to leave, to walk out of their home, because his wife doesn't want you there. This is Rose's story. And what she did on her 80th birthday changed everything. Rose is 80 years old. She raised her son Michael completely alone after escaping an abusive marriage when he was just 3 years old. She worked as a seamstress during the day, cleaned offices at night, and took in ironing on weekends. Every penny she earned went to giving Michael a better life than she had. She put him through college. She helped him with the down payment on his first house. She babysat her grandchildren for free while he and his wife built their careers.
For 40 years, she was there for him.
Always. And then, 2 months ago, on Thanksgiving Day, Michael asked her to leave his house. Not because she did anything wrong, but because his wife Amanda demanded it. Let me tell you what happened. And I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll understand why Rose did what she did. Rose didn't have an easy life. She married young, too young, to a man who seemed charming at first, but turned violent after the wedding. For 5 years she endured it. She stayed because she had nowhere to go, no money of her own, and a small son to protect. When Michael was 3 years old, Rose made the hardest decision of her life. She packed one suitcase, took her son, and left in the middle of the night while her husband was passed out drunk. She had $47 in her purse. No family to help her. No college degree. Just determination and love for her child. She found a tiny apartment in a rough neighborhood. She took any work she could find. Sewing alterations in a shop during the day. Cleaning office buildings from midnight to 6 a.m. On weekends, she ironed clothes for neighbors to make extra money. Michael never went hungry. He always had clean clothes. He had birthday parties and Christmas presents, even when Rose went without eating so she could afford them. She helped him with homework at kitchen tables in apartments that were too small and too cold. She cheered at every soccer game. She worked double shifts to pay for his college applications. When Michael got into a good university, Rose cried with joy. Her son, her beautiful, smart son, was going to have opportunities she never had. Michael graduated with honors. He got a job at a prestigious company. He met Amanda, a woman from a wealthy family who worked in the same building. Rose was so proud. At first, Amanda was polite to Rose.
Distant but polite.
But after the wedding, things changed. Amanda came for money. Her father was a surgeon. Her mother was on charity boards. They lived in a neighborhood where Rose's entire year's income wouldn't cover 1 month's mortgage. Rose could tell that Amanda looked down on her. It was in the way Amanda's eyes swept over Rose's second-hand clothes. The way she corrected Rose's grammar in front of others. The way she introduced Rose to her friends as Michael's mother with a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Rose tried to ignore it. She told herself Amanda was just different, not unkind. But then Amanda started making excuses. Rose couldn't babysit the grandchildren anymore. Amanda hired a nanny instead. Rose wasn't invited to family dinners, they were keeping it small. When Rose offered to help with anything, Amanda had already taken care of it. Rose felt herself being pushed out. Slowly. Deliberately. Michael noticed, but he didn't stand up for his mother. When Rose mentioned feeling excluded, he said, "Mom, Amanda's just particular about things. Don't take it personally." Don't take it personally? This was her son, her only child, the person she'd sacrificed everything for. But Rose stayed quiet. She didn't want to cause problems in Michael's marriage. She didn't want to be the difficult mother-in-law. So she accepted the crumbs. A brief visit here. A quick phone call there. Holidays where she was invited, but made to feel like a burden. And through it all, Michael kept saying, "Don't worry, Mom. When you're older and need help, Amanda and I will take care of you. You'll never have to worry about anything." Rose held on to those words. She told herself that her son still loved her, even if he didn't show it the way he used to. She had a modest savings account, about $300,000 from a lifetime of careful living. She owned a small house free and clear, worth another $250,000.
Michael knew about it.
He'd mentioned it a few times. Make sure everything's in order, Mom. You know, for the future. For your estate. Rose had a will. A simple one. Everything to Michael. After all, he was her son. Her only family. Who else would she leave it to? 2 months ago was Thanksgiving. Michael and Amanda were hosting at their house. Their beautiful, large house in the neighborhood Rose could never afford. Rose brought her famous pumpkin pie, the one Michael had loved since he was a boy. She dressed in her best outfit and drove 40 minutes to their home. When she arrived, Amanda answered the door. Her smile was thin. "Oh, Rose. You're here. Not hi, Mom. Not happy Thanksgiving. Just you're here." Like Rose was an unexpected package delivery. Rose went inside. Amanda's parents were already there, drinking wine in the living room. Amanda's sister and her family were in the kitchen. The house was full of people. No one greeted Rose. No one asked her to sit down. She stood in the entryway holding her pie, feeling like an intruder in her own son's home. Michael finally came out from the kitchen. He kissed her cheek quickly. "Hey, Mom. Thanks for coming. Just put the pie in the kitchen, okay?" Rose went to the kitchen. Amanda was arranging store-bought desserts on fancy serving platters. Rose set her homemade pie down on the counter. Amanda glanced at it.
Oh.
"You brought pie. We already have dessert, but I guess we can put it out." She said it like Rose had brought something embarrassing. Something unwanted. Dinner was worse. The dining room table seated 12 people. Rose was placed at the far end, next to Amanda's young nephew who ignored her. Amanda's parents held court at the other end, telling stories and laughing. Michael sat near them, engaged in their conversation, his back partially to his mother. Rose sat in silence, eating turkey that tasted like dust in her mouth. After dinner, everyone moved to the living room. Amanda's father started talking about their upcoming family vacation to Europe. "All of us are going," he announced. "It's going to be wonderful." All of us didn't include Rose. She sat on the edge of the sofa, invisible, while her son laughed and planned a trip she wasn't invited on. And then it happened. Amanda's mother, a woman Rose had met maybe 3 times, said something to Michael in a voice just loud enough for Rose to hear. "Michael, darling, would you mind asking your mother to move? She's sitting in Patricia's favorite spot, and Patricia will be here any moment." Patricia, Amanda's aunt. Someone who wasn't even there yet. Michael hesitated. For just a second, Rose saw conflict in his eyes. But then he turned to Rose. "Mom, would you mind sitting over there?" He gestured to a chair in the corner. Away from everyone. Rose stood up. She moved to the corner chair. She sat there for another hour, watching her son be part of Amanda's family, while she was treated like an unwanted stranger. And then Amanda's aunt Patricia arrived. She swept into the room, greeted everyone warmly, and sat in the spot Rose had been moved from. No one introduced Rose to Patricia. No one acknowledged her at all. Rose had had enough. She stood up quietly, picked up her purse, and walked to the door. Michael noticed. He followed her into the hallway. "Mom, where are you going?" "Home, Michael. I'm going home. But it's only 8 o'clock. We haven't even had dessert yet." Rose looked at her son. Her beautiful son. The boy she'd raised alone. The man she'd sacrificed everything for. "Michael," she said quietly, "your wife doesn't want me here. Her family doesn't want me here. And you let them treat me like I don't matter." Michael's face flushed. "Mom, don't be dramatic. No one's treating you. Ask me to stay, Michael."
Right now. Tell me you want me here.
"Tell me I'm family." He opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked back toward the living room, where Amanda was laughing at something her father said. "Mom, it's complicated. Amanda's family they're just different. They don't mean anything by it." Rose felt something break inside her chest. "I'm leaving, Michael. And I won't be coming back." "Mom, come on. Don't." But Rose was already walking out the door. Michael didn't follow her. He let her go. Rose drove home in the dark, tears streaming down her face. When she got to her small house, the house she'd worked 3 jobs to buy, she sat in her car and cried. Her son had chosen them. He'd chosen Amanda's family. He'd chosen money and status and comfort over the woman who'd given up everything for him. And Rose realized something. Michael hadn't stayed close because he loved her. He'd stayed close because he was waiting for her to die so he could inherit. 3 weeks later was Rose's 80th birthday. Michael called that morning. "Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry I can't come by today, we have plans. But I'll send you something." No visit. No dinner. Just, "I'll send you something." Rose spent her birthday alone. A neighbor brought her a cake. She lit the candles by herself and made a wish. Her wish was simple. "I wish I'd known the truth sooner." The next morning, Rose called her lawyer. A young woman named Jennifer, who'd helped her with her will years ago. "Jennifer? This is Rose Martinez. I need to change my will." "Of course, Rose. What changes would you like to make?" Rose had thought about this all night. She wasn't going to be cruel. She wasn't going to completely cut Michael out. But she wasn't going to reward him for abandoning her, either. "Here's what I want," Rose said clearly. "My house goes to my neighbor Dorothy, who's been more like family to me than my own son. My savings, $300,000, goes to the women's shelter, where I stayed when I left my abusive husband. They helped me start my life over. Now they can help other women do the same." "And for Michael?" Jennifer asked gently. "Michael gets my mother's wedding ring and $10,000. That's it." Jennifer was quiet for a moment. "Rose, are you sure? That's a significant change." "I've never been more sure of anything. And, Jennifer, I want a letter included with the will. I want Michael to know why." "What would you like the letter to say?" Rose thought carefully. She wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She was just done. "I want to tell him the truth. I want him to know that I loved him more than anything, that I gave him everything I had, and that he chose status over his own mother. He chose a woman who looked down on me. He let me be treated like I didn't matter. So now he gets what he gave me, almost nothing." Jennifer helped her draft it. They met the next week. Rose signed the new will and the letter. It was done. Rose lived for another 18 months after changing her will. She spent that time with Dorothy, her neighbor. They took small trips together. They had coffee every morning. They laughed. Michael called occasionally. Always brief. Always with an excuse for why he couldn't visit. Amanda never got on the phone. Rose stopped expecting anything from him. It hurt less that way. When Rose passed away peacefully in her sleep at age 81, Michael was notified immediately. He came to the funeral. Amanda came too, dressed in expensive black. After the service, Jennifer the lawyer asked to speak with Michael privately. She handed him an envelope. "Your mother's will, and a letter she wanted you to have." Michael opened the will first. His face went white as he read. The house, worth $250,000, to Dorothy Wilson, neighbor and dear friend. $300,000 in savings to the Haven Women's Shelter. To Michael Martinez, grandmother's wedding ring and $10,000. "This can't be right," Michael said. "There must be a mistake." "There's no mistake," Jennifer said quietly. "Your mother changed her will on her 81st birthday. She was of completely sound mind. The will is valid." Amanda, reading over his shoulder, gasped. $10,000? That's it? After everything he... She stopped herself, but it was too late. Jennifer had heard it. "After everything we were waiting for." Michael's hands were shaking as he opened the letter. Rose's letter was 2 pages handwritten. Michael read it with tears streaming down his face. "My dearest Michael, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I imagine you're confused about my will. So let me explain. When you were 3 years old, I took you away from your father because I couldn't let you grow up watching him hurt me. I had nothing, no money, no education, no family. But I had you, and that was enough. I worked 3 jobs to give you a life. I sewed until my fingers bled. I cleaned toilets in office buildings. I ironed strangers' clothes in our tiny apartment while you slept. I did it all gladly because you were my son, and I loved you more than my own life. I put you through college. I helped you buy your first house. I babysat my grandchildren for free, so you could build your careers. I never asked for anything in return except to be treated like I mattered. But somewhere along the way, you forgot me. Or maybe you never forgot. Maybe you just stopped caring. Amanda's family looked down on me because I was poor, uneducated, from the wrong side of everything. And you let them. You chose their approval over my dignity. On Thanksgiving, you asked me to move from a chair so Amanda's aunt could sit there. You didn't stand up for me. You didn't tell them I was your mother, and I deserved respect. You let me sit in the corner like a piece of furniture no one wanted. And then you let me leave. I drove home alone on Thanksgiving, crying, and you didn't even follow me out the door. That's when I knew. You weren't staying close because you loved me. You were staying close because you were waiting for me to die so you could inherit my money. I won't reward you for that, Michael. I worked too hard for that money. I earned it cleaning toilets while you slept. I saved it by going without so you could have everything. My house goes to Dorothy, who treated me like family when you treated me like an obligation. My savings go to the women's shelter that saved my life when I had nowhere to go. They'll help other women the way I wish someone had helped me sooner. You get grandmother's ring because it's a family heirloom and you are still my son. And you get $10,000, more than I had when I started over with you at age 28. That's my final lesson to you, Michael. You get what you give. You gave me almost nothing in my final years. So you get almost nothing in return. I loved you every single day of your life. I hope you think of me sometimes and realize what you lost. Not the money me. I deserved better from you. And now, even in death, I'm choosing people who actually valued me. Goodbye, my son. I hope you find your way back to the person I raised you to be. With love, despite everything.
Mom.
Michael stood in the lawyer's office, holding his mother's letter, sobbing. Amanda stood beside him, furious. This is ridiculous. We should contest this. She was obviously manipulated by that neighbor. Stop, Michael said quietly. What? Just stop, Amanda. She wasn't manipulated. She was right. He looked at his wife, really looked at her, and saw what his mother must have seen. The cold calculation. The status obsession. The way Amanda had systematically pushed his mother out of their lives. We treated her terribly, Michael said. I treated her terribly. And she died knowing I chose you over her. Amanda's face hardened. Well, I hope you're happy with your grandmother's ring and $10,000. Because that's all you're getting. She walked out of the office. Michael stayed, holding his mother's letter. He read it again. And again. He went to his mother's funeral. He watched Dorothy and the women from the shelter cry genuine tears for Rose. He realized these near strangers had loved his mother more than he had in the end. He visited his mother's grave every week after that. He brought flowers. He apologized to a headstone because he'd never apologized to her face. He eventually divorced Amanda. She'd shown her true colors when the money disappeared. But the damage was done. Michael had his grandmother's ring and $10,000 and a lifetime of regret. His mother had been worth so much more than money. And he'd realized it 18 months too late. Rose made her choice on her 80th birthday, and she never looked back. She spent her final 18 months with people who actually valued her. She didn't beg for her son's attention. She didn't try to buy his love. She simply let go. And when she died, she made sure her life's work went to people who deserved it. Here's what I want you to take away from Rose's story. If you're a senior, your children are not entitled to your money just because they're your children. If they treat you poorly, you have every right to leave your estate to people who actually cared for you. Don't let guilt or fear keep you tied to people who don't value you. If you're an adult child, your parents' money is not your money. If you're only staying close because you're waiting for an inheritance, know this: they can tell. And they can change their will. Treat your parents with respect because they're human beings who deserve it, not because you expect a payoff. And if you're married, never let your spouse push your parent out of your life. Stand up for them, because one day they'll be gone, and you'll have to live with the choices you made. Michael got exactly what he gave his mother, almost nothing. And he'll spend the rest of his life knowing he lost something far more valuable than money. Rose didn't get revenge.
She got dignity.
She got the final word. And she got to spend her last days with people who loved her. Sometimes the greatest power you have is the power to walk away. And the power to decide who gets the life you worked so hard to build. I'm Maya. And this is what happens when you forget the people who sacrificed everything for you. If you have aging parents, call them today. Don't wait until it's too late. My goal this month is to reach 100 subscribers, people who care about justice and protecting our seniors. Will you be one of them? If this story moved you, please subscribe. I'm building this channel one story at a time, and your support means everything. Thank you for listening to Rose's story. She deserved better. And so do all the parents who are being overlooked by the children they raised. See you in the next one.